There.
Hi, everyone. This is Ashton from MindLink Resources again. Thanks for joining us. Today you're tuning into part 2 of the Good versus Cheap series by MindLink Resources. In our first video, we talked about specific reasons why you should consider translating or localizing your content in order to best meet the needs of your market or clients. But today we're going to be focusing more specifically on what material you should translate. So I'll move things over to Stacey. Joe over here. All right, what do we got?
Hi, Ashton.
Hi.
Thanks for joining. I know it's hot where you are in California.
I'm dying right now.
Well,
it's about 110 degrees right now.
Oh, well, take it easy. But yeah, so thanks for the intro. We are going to talk about determining both what languages to translate into, and give you some ideas of what you can target to translate. So yeah, in talking about the languages, you know, a lot of our clients, this is kind of you can look around your community and you try to assess, okay, who are my clients? Who is using my services? And a lot of times you can get a good idea of how to determine what languages to translate just from talking to your staff and looking at your client lists and looking at your own needs. However, there are some additional sources. I know a lot of people that will look over their census data to just see what, which isn't perfect because it doesn't always indicate the languages spoken, but it will tell you where people are from, and you can kind of imply that they're not necessarily native English speakers and may need some assistance. There's also school data, which is great because teachers will report out what, you know, the needs of the families and the students that they work with. And so
jumping in really quick before you move on, how would you recommend finding that census or school data? Can you do that by just a quick Google search, or, you know, what's the
the census I think is online.
Okay.
Yeah, and we could put, I think there's a link for it we can put in the notes. The school data might be something you would need to call your district and just ask them what languages are supported and needed at your school. But, you know, usually if you can kind of compile those two sources, you can get a good idea of what's needed in your community.
Definitely.
Good question. Okay, cool. And then a good rule of thumb is if the community of the non or limited English speakers consists of 15% of more of your total population. For example, we're in the Portland metro area. And so, you know, if there's 2 million people that live here, at 15% of that, Ashton, what's the math on that?
I think that's about 1/6 of a population.
Yes. Well, yeah. So whatever that works out to be, from like 2 million or 1 million, and there are some guidelines if you're getting federal funding for language access. And again, there's some resources out there that we can include in the notes. If you have a question or you really want to know, what am I obligated to provide access for? So if the community makes 15% or more of the total population of the area, then if you're accepting federal funding, you are obligated to provide language access for those languages. Language access meaning interpretation and translation, which we talked about last time. Cool?
Exactly. Cool.
Okay. All right. So next up, let me go to the next slide. And, you know, well, just to review what meaningful access means, you know, the goal for translation or providing translation or interpretation for your clients, the goals may vary. But if you're going to say, yes, I provide meaningful and complete access to my information for my service, that the user should have the ability to engage fully with your product or service in their native language. So, you know, it may mean you're translating all the vital documents in order to engage with your service. It may mean you're providing an interpreter to help them. For example, if you have a food bank, you may need both translators and interpreters so that people can access that service. So, it's a good time to kind of look at all your critical information. If there's marketing materials, maybe you don't need to, or things you need for fundraising or other aspects of your organization. You may not necessarily need to translate everything you have, but meaningful access, vital information, for sure. That would be what you would look at.
Definitely.
Oh, and I have a guest here. That would be Whiskers. Thank you, Whiskers.
We're a cat-friendly company at MindLink.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so does that make sense with meaningful access?
Yeah, definitely. Basically, what it comes down to is, can the population that you're serving interact with you and your services in the way that it was intended to be used?
Absolutely, yeah. And if you've done any work on equity, equity means it shouldn't matter. That you come from somewhere else, you should equally be able to access everything.
Right.
So, yeah, for sure. That's something for my clients who are really concerned about equity, which in inclusion, really providing meaningful access is important. So how do you do that? And here's some specifics on what types of things you might consider translating: applications, consent forms, grievance, appeal, complaint forms, any forms like that you might use, any correspondence about eligibility and participation, notices of denial or reduction. Yeah, I could read everything. So this kind of gives you just a brief summary, but you get the idea. Like, there are many things that your users use to interact with your services, and so really identifying those and making sure either you have them translated or an interpreter available to explain the services, then you should be covered.
Definitely.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right, so that's it on this one, but stay tuned for our next presentation, which is
Part 3, Transomatic versus Google Translate. We'll get into here. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, that's a good one. All right, thanks, Ashton.
Thank you so much. All right.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.